I was in so much debt and it was all my fault, 100% my fault. In my 20s, I bought a nice car. I was traveling like crazy. I was going out all the time. And I honestly wasn't making that much money. Maybe on a good month, I was taking home $10,000 to $15,000. But honestly, on average, I was probably putting in my pocket like $5,000 to $7,000 a month, but living like someone that was making $30,000, $40,000 a month and could comfortably afford a nice car, travel a bunch, and go out to nice restaurants and bars all the time with your friends on the weekends. And in this video, I hope to impress upon you, especially if you're in your 20s or maybe even starting out in your 30s, why that type of lifestyle in the short term does not serve you. But you can always have it later if you do the right things early enough, right? So I want to share with you the 5 reasons why living outside your means, especially when you're trying to build something or create wealth, is not going to serve you. And these are all coming from my real life experiences. So first and foremost, lifestyle creep will absolutely own you. Lifestyle creep is basically when you make bigger monthly commitments that are much harder to let go of or get out of, such as buying or leasing a super expensive car, living in a house or renting something that you honestly shouldn't be paying for, right? Like 2 to 3x, like what you should be spending on a monthly basis relative to your income. And then last but not least, how you spend your time with friends and family outside of that. Are you going to clubs and bars and getting tables when you're stretching your budget just to be there in the first place? Well, like these are all real things and real mistakes I made that I can hope you can prevent by just watching this video and making some simple changes. Because when you corner yourself into these commitments, in my 20s, someone taught me at a young age that they taught me the wrong thing, in my opinion, because they said, if you make these big financial commitments like buying a Range Rover, well, that'll force you to level up your income, which, yeah, there's truth to it, but let me explain why it doesn't always serve you in the best way. Because making these lifestyle commitments and creeps, sure, it can push you to like work harder, but you can't always control the outcome. Sometimes you have bad months. Sometimes things don't go as you plan. And then that puts you into maybe a place where you're losing money every month, or you're just breaking even just to cover your lifestyle expenses. Well, what this really does, it's not just the math and the money and the debt. Like that all sucks. That can be solved though. What it really does is it messes with this. It affects your decision making. It affects the way you think. It affects the choices you make, right? And also, it's very stressful, like waking up every day when you're already dug yourself into a hole and having to dig yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally out of that hole just to function, right? Like, because I've been there, I put myself in that position before. That mentor that gave me that advice when I was in my early 20s, they actually, I noticed looking back now, they've had a cycle of ups and downs because they live their same lifestyle creeps too. So this really goes hand in hand with the point of this whole video, which is living within your means. Like you could have your thing that you splurge on, right, within reason, but get the rest of your life in check to give you space, freedom, and flexibility to enjoy that splurge. Maybe it's watches, maybe it is that car, but make sure everything else is like locked in. Your finances are set. Your income has plenty of margin, plenty of space to breathe if you have a bad month, and then make that choice when the time is right. Okay. The second thing is you can also weather the bad storms easier, whether that's if you're just an employee right now working to start a business, or you already have a business running, self-employed, big company. When you put yourself in a position that you can afford bad months, your life, it gets better, right? And I find this to be true because naturally in lead generation, affiliate marketing, pay-per-call, there's a lot of ups and downs. And because I make it such a point to not really spend more than $5,000, maybe $10,000 a month, like for our lives, myself, my wife, my dogs, and then, maybe some travel or whatever else in between that bills that come up. max I'm going to spend is $10,000 a month. Like, and that's like an expensive month. Realistically, I'm like $5,000 to $6,000 a month between our rent, uh, what else? Going out to eat, some travel that I don't expense off, things like that, right? And I don't really buy anything. Like I'm wearing an Aloe shirt right now, and there's like an expensive, there's expensive clothes for me and I buy because I know this stuff's gonna last for years, and it's super comfortable. And once you start wearing Aloe and Lululemon, it's really hard to go back. But the quality is there, which is why I can justify it. So when you put yourself in a position where you're like your lifestyle really caps out at a certain point, then everything does become easier, in my opinion. And when you have those bad months, like they still suck, right? It's never fun if you have a really, low margin, low return, low margin month, or maybe even lose some money. Like maybe you get screwed by someone not paying you or whatever it is. It doesn't crush you as emotionally. Like you can be a little more stoic about bad things happening and make better decisions and handle them better. Just my personal experience and what I believe and what I've, you know, what I've experienced myself too. Right. So the second thing is you can just weather bad storms a lot easier. Okay. The third thing is when those bad things happen or you see there's a huge change in the marketplace with whatever type of business you have, you can pivot a lot easier. If you're in lead gen and you sell leads to insurance companies, and like what we've seen in the last year, the Affordable Care Act, the ACA lead buyers, call buyers are getting super restrictive on what type of ads you can run. The payouts are going down. The whole thing could fall apart, to be honest, with the current administration. It might just upend. We don't know yet. But if you're in a position where you've stacked enough cash, you got plenty of investments, you got a little piggy bank to cover your payroll and everything, you can make a hard pivot rather quickly because of the position you've put yourself in, right? So if you don't have the lifestyle creep, if you can be more stoic because you are financially a little bit more established, then the pivots can be very easy. You can start shift over to generating maybe do e-commerce instead, which is similar but very different at the same time. But you can make those types of pivots. Whereas if you're locked in because of a expensive lifestyle, right? I know someone in this affiliate marketing space that I think their monthly their monthly just cost of living for them, his wife and his 2 or 3 kids, I think he spends like $50,000 a month. Yeah, like he sells courses and stuff, and he has nice cars, and he uses those to market. But nonetheless, like if he has a couple bad months, I don't know how much cash this guy has put away, right? Like that's not going to be fun. That's not a position I want to put myself in. And you could say that he uses the cars to market, and the lifestyle kind of sells the course. Sure, that there is some truth to that, and you could probably write some of that off. But nonetheless, that's a fat commitment that you're making, just because. Partly you want to impress people, but there's other ways. Look at Alex Ramosi. The guy, built a massive company and then even exited it. And he was never really flashy. Like he even did a video talking about, I think he got a Bentley or something. And he said he did it because his friends were pushing him to do it. And he's like, I don't care about this. And then he sold it, right? And they actually ended up leaving Austin and moving to Vegas. And then he puts on videos flying private jets, and I think that is some positioning, but he's also wearing a white beater tank top when he's in the jet. He's not bougie with Rolexes and stuff. I think he just honestly uses private jets because they're super efficient for him with his time, in compared to what he's earning for all the travel time would just be too expensive in some ways because they're at the level he's operating. But probably a little bit of marketing there nonetheless. But he says this himself, it didn't make him happier, right? But just another example. The fourth thing is you have more freedom with your choices and decisions, right? So when you're kind of backed into a corner because you have an expensive lifestyle, and then maybe you're having a bad month or couple months, maybe you're barely making money, you're losing money, you're paying all your employees, everything is going perfect, but really you're losing your ass in whatever brand or offer you're running. Well, what I've found from personal experience is when you have a low monthly cost, you live very simple, you have cash put away, you have investments, you can float a few months or years without, it wouldn't be fun, but It's not going to crush you if you had to. What I've found is that you make better decisions and you take on the right deals, you work with the right buyers, you sell things from the right place. Whereas if you're like backed into a corner and then also figuratively pushed down into a hole and then buried because you put yourself there, coming out of that, like sure, like with a lot of grit, force, push, uh, just driving yourself, you could get out of that position, but you're going to probably make a lot of short-term decisions that and take bad deals or worse deals than you should be, than you have to, right? Like maybe you'll accept less on a payout, or if you're selling econ products, maybe you'll buy in bulk at a worse rate with like higher interest if you're doing some type of financing, just because you need to and because you really have no other option. So when you take my advice and you put yourself in a good financial position, then you're coming from a better place. Like you can wait, you can be patient, and you can wait for the right opportunity to act. Okay. So the last thing with this, and kind of goes hand in hand, is when you cap your lifestyle, you figure out what's actually important to you. You find your monthly number, 5, 10, 3, $2,000 a month, whatever it is. Depends where you're living to, right? In the US, you're probably looking at like $5,000 to $10,000 realistically a month. Out overseas, it could be the same or less or more. If you're in like Dubai or something. But you will find that your lifestyle caps out at a certain point. And like this, something I've always believed is more money doesn't make you happy after a certain point. Like after you have the freedom and flexibility, like go to restaurants, take a day off whenever you want, travel, uh, you know, live in a very nice place, like live in a good area, have a nice home. Once you have those needs and then those additional wants met, it's nothing past that really makes you happier. But that extra money, I will always say, it solves the problem not having enough money to solve problems that need money, right? Like health or bills that come up, or maybe someone wants to sue you, whatever it is. Having more money to solve those problems is super important because it kind of goes back in cycle with everything we talked about here, right? But also, let's say you cap out at your lifestyle caps out at $8,000 a month, which I think is very generous, regardless of where you live in the world, unless you just ball out all the time because that's what you want to do. You're going to find that once you go from making $10,000 a month to $50,000 or $100,000 a month profiting your pocket, like you're going to be in a position where you can buy back years of your life by taking a majority of that, if not some of that, a large portion of that, and investing it into stocks or Bitcoin or real estate, things that will set you up for life, because this really comes full circle with everything I've talked about here: the lifestyle creep, weathering bad storms, being able to pivot easier, having freedom and flexibility by making choices from the right place. Well, all this comes from building a foundation of just having assets, right? And when you can cap your lifestyle, once you figure out what's important to you, and you live cheap while you need to put yourself in a really good position, then like the whole thing flips, and then just becomes this game that you've already won, that you're just like playing at new levels. I could think of countless examples of this. Like I interviewed Anthony pretty recently, who sold his company for tens of millions of dollars. He even said this himself, like he lived super modest, and now he's got a big pile of cash in some way, shape, or form, investments. I don't know. I didn't ask him, but I'm assuming that will cover him for the rest of his life and his family, which is badass, right? And I can give you countless stories like this of people I've met over the years that I watched them make really good money, live super cheap or relatively modest for some period of time, so they could stack the cash, they could build the assets, and then those things pay for the lifestyle. So, it didn't even matter at that point. I've been thinking about this topic for a while because I talk with a lot of people about money, and also in the affiliate marketing space, you see a lot of people rise up and then crash down really hard financially because they don't manage their money well. They're balling out at the bar just because they can. They're gambling. They're essentially betting on the stock market, not buying and holding long term and making investments. They're trying to get swing trades, right? And I'm not saying you can't make money doing all this stuff, right? Like it is a strategy to go to live nightclub and invite a bunch of your clients and get a table right in front and center for a big DJ. Like that, there is an ROI there if you do it right. Okay, I do genuinely believe that. If you buy the Rolex and you're in an industry where people will judge you because of the watch you wear, but you have a really nice Rolex, you will get attention from people that understand what a nice Rolex is and what you paid for it. And they're automatically going to assume you are like a higher status in some way, whether it's professionally and or financially, and they may be more inclined to work with you. So I don't deny that there is a game to this. Like me and my simple little $60 to $80 Aloe shirt, I'm probably not going to impress anyone, but I probably will. This probably will speak to the person that lives the same way, that has a much higher net worth than me, that buys their Aloe or even their Target t-shirts. They're probably going to look at me and be like, oh, wow, like John's a real one. Like I would do business with him because he's like me. So there's a game to all this. I bought the Aloe because I like it, right? Not because I'm trying to play a modest game. But the point is that the common theme I've seen with a lot of the people that have been winning since I've been in this space over the last 15 years, 12 to 15 years of the online marketing since it really came around full circle, it is the ones that have won over the longest period of time are the ones that have found that like conservative balance with how they invest and spend their money against what they earn. And I mean, I could give you countless examples of this. I saw a story on, I think it was MSNBC or something, one of these YouTube channels that like just popped up in my feed about this guy that worked for multiple tech companies and then eventually AI inside of Microsoft, where he went from earning 40, 50, 60 G's a year up to $1 million a year in salary. And he was saying how he only spent 10% of that. So he lived on a $100,000 salary when he was making $1 million a year. And the whole story was that he was 39 at that time. He was 39 years old when they were filming it. And it was a pretty recent story. I could share a link to it. And what I found most interesting is he's living in Dubai now because he likes the benefits of Dubai with the safety. The relative cost of living isn't insane. Access to other parts of the world, great airport, right? Tons of benefits there. Services, healthy food, you name it. But he's living in Dubai now. He's moved his whole life there. And all with his net worth, I think it was either 2.5 million or 3.5 million. And he literally lives off of the $15,000 he pays himself in, what his portfolio earns him. So he'll pay himself out 15,000 a month. He spends on average 9 to 10,000 of that, probably just pockets the rest or reinvests it. And he's literally set for life. He's like the title was, this person retired at 39 or something like that, right? With 3.5 or $2.5 million. I think it was 3.5 million. But like, that's cool. To me, that's super cool. And also to see that someone did it, it's a high paid employee versus a business owner is super cool too, because not everyone should be a business owner, which I'll talk about in another video. That could be a series of videos, but it's just like the proof is in the pudding there. You could find multiple examples. You find countless examples of people living modest, increasing their income, building their net worth, and then like just living a better life. So my hope with this video is that this spoke to you and you make some hard decisions that I had to make in my 20s that have now served me. Now that I'm 37 years old, I'm in a much better position. And it's because of the decisions I made then and then the person I've become through that process. So enjoy this video, like, comment, share if something about this spoke to you, and I'll see you next one.